Have there been any FBI agents who investigate foreign domestic terrorism?
You don't get to say America is not safer under this leadership.
I am not saying
America
that.
is safer because of the work of the FBI.
You're making a presumption of premise.
4,700 children.
Sir,
we have seized 6,000 weapons and 23,000 violent felons have been
FBI
arrested.
Agents who investigate human trafficking have been reassigned to immigration enforcement. You are not denying that FBI agents who are on the task force that fight against Russian oligarchs have not been reassigned. Public Corrections Squad reassigned. People who defend children reassigned. You're not denying that. I've seen
FBI
time and
agents
time
don't
again
get reassigned.
attack my colleagues' premises of questions as a way to not answer the question. So let me end with this. I don't think you're fit to hand the bureau, but here's the thing, Mr. Patel. I think you're not going to be around long. I think this might be your last oversight hearing. Because as much as you supplicate yourself to the will of Donald Trump and not the Constitution of the United States of America, Donald Trump has shown us in his first term and in this term, he is not loyal to people like you. He will cut you loose. This may be the last time I have a hearing with you because I don't think you're long for your job. But I'm going to tell you this. I pray for you. I pray for you that you can step up and defend your oath, defend the Constitution, and do a much better job of defending this country. This is an oversight hearing. This is germane to your integrity and credibility. You know right now whether or not you testified that President Trump declassified the documents at issue in the Mar-a-Lago classified documents case. Why are you refusing to answer that simple yes or no question right now?
Because the premise of your question is inaccurate, and
there is no premise to my question, but trying to get to an order of what is truth or not.
How do you How do you know what was asked in the grand jury if you weren't there?
Mr. Patel, this is a mockery you're making of this hearing and simple questions.
It's a simple question. If you have
Mr.
a
Patel,
transcript,
during
you can
your
read the
nomination
question, but you don't have it.
You promised that, quote, all FBI employees will be protected against political retribution. When I asked you, are you aware of any plans or discussions to punish in any way, including termination, FBI agents or personnel associated with the Trump administration, you explicitly said under oath that you were not aware of any plans to punish FBI agents associated with criminal investigations of Donald Trump. I don't believe you were truthful. Firing FBI employees based solely on the cases that they are investigating, their case assignments, is illegal, and you know that. A new lawsuit that's been discussed numerous times, filed by 3 FBI officials, alleges that you carried out Donald Trump's campaign of retribution, in quotes, against FBI employees for, quote, failure to demonstrate sufficient political loyalty. One of those plaintiffs has been discussed today, Brian Driscoll. Now, we know 20 years of distinguished service to the FBI before you terminated him. Special agent in charge of FBI's Newark field office, where he operated with distinction. Medal of Valor winner, Shield of Bravery awards. He's a patriot. You terminated Driscoll via a letter dated October 8th, 2025, and in that letter, you said that you were firing him pursuant to Article 2 of the Constitution. Well, you're not the President of the United States, and so I'm wondering under what authority you were allowed to terminate him.
That matter is under litigation, and I'm not able to discuss it.
Okay, well, discuss this. Did you have discussions with Stephen Miller about firing this particular person or about his continuance in the FBI?
Not that I recall.
How often do you speak to Stephen Miller?
Frequently on our Homeland Security task forces.
You frequently talk with Stephen Miller about subjects other than Homeland Security task force issues, correct?
I frequently talk to Mr. Miller about Homeland Security task forces.
Has Stephen Miller ever given you his opinions on how to run your agency?
Mr. Miller's interagency operations are invaluable to the FBI. That's what we talk about.
So you frequently discuss your job and your responsibilities with Stephen Miller and Pam Bondi, I imagine, as well.
Absolutely. She's the Attorney General.
Understood. Okay. Donald Trump promised to make us all safer. You have pushed out senior FBI agents with decades of knowledge and experience. In fact, this is the first time in FBI history that neither the director nor the deputy director have any experience with the FBI. You've shifted the agency's priorities primarily to pursuing Donald Trump's immigration enforcement agenda. According to ICE data, the Cato Institute, which is a conservative think tank, found that 20% of all agents have been diverted from their work to assist ICE immigration enforcement. 20%. Part of this operation is the work of masked law enforcement who jump out of cars, snatch people off streets at churches, schools, and their jobs and hospitals? Have there been any FBI agents who investigate crimes against children that have been assigned to immigration enforcement, yes or no?
The premise of what you say is entirely false.
Have there been any FBI agents who investigate
no.
foreign domestic terrorism?
You don't get to say America is not safer under this leadership.
I am not saying
America
that.
is safer because of the work of the FBI.
You're making a presumption of premise.
4,700 children.
Sir,
we have seized 6,000 weapons and 23,000 violent felons have been
FBI
arrested.
Agents who investigate human trafficking have been reassigned to immigration enforcement. You are not denying that FBI agents who are on the task force that fight against Russian oligarchs have not been reassigned. Public Corrections Squad, reassigned. People who defend us, defend children, reassigned. You're not denying that. I've seen you time and time again attack my colleagues' premises of questions as a way to not answer the question. So let me end with this. I believe you have made our country weaker and less safe. I believe that we are more vulnerable to a major event, and I pray to God it doesn't happen. You've gutted the Bureau of Institutional Knowledge and Expertise. You fired or pushed out seasoned FBI officials, many with more than 20 years of experience, and were working on cases that were critical. You've been purging thousands of serious law enforcement officials who spent their careers keeping us safe, only to lower hiring standards in order to find anyone to replace them. And shockingly, you admitted in this hearing to Senator Coons that it would take 14 years to fill the vacancies at your agency. Many are the result of your purge. 20% of FBI agents are doing low-level immigration enforcement instead of their mission-critical work. You've disbanded entire task forces that stop election interference, foreign influence, public corruption. And who benefits from this? Well, corrupt people benefit from it. Criminals benefit from it. Vladimir Putin benefits from it. And it really makes me wonder who you're looking out for. It makes me think we can't trust you as a nation. You swear to release the Epstein files, but now you're withholding the Epstein files. You claim that you have a suspect in a serious assassination. Whoops, then you don't have a suspect. You know nothing about plans to remove FBI agents, yet you're directly involved in those plans. In the words of an ex-FBI official, you are overseeing, and I quote, generational destruction of the nation's premier law enforcement agency. Mr. Patel, in just 8 months, you have assaulted the institutional integrity of the FBI. But I know FBI field agents. I've worked with them in Newark. No matter how truly bad you are, you can't undermine the legacy of agents who fight every day to keep us safe, but you can tarnish the integrity of the agency and undermine the agency's capacity. I believe you're failing as a leader, and that your failure does have serious implications for the safety and security of Americans and our families. We're more vulnerable to domestic and foreign attack because of your failures of leadership. I don't think you're fit to hand the Bureau, but here's the thing, Mr. Patel. I think you're not going to be around long. I think this might be your last oversight hearing. Because as much as you supplicate yourself to the will of Donald Trump and not the Constitution of the United States of America, Donald Trump has shown us in his first term and in this term, he is not loyal to people like you. He will cut you loose. This may be the last time I have a hearing with you because I don't think you're long for your job. But I'm going to tell you this. I pray for you. I pray for you that you can step up and defend your oath, defend the Constitution, and do a much better job of defending this country. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Do you want to say anything?
Yes, sir. That rant of false information does not bring this country together. If you want to work on bringing this country, it's my time, not yours.
My God.
If you want to talk about
dividing this country,
it is my time.
I follow you on your social media posts that tear this country apart.
To address your falsehoods.
You can try all you want
in this country.
to not take responsibility for what you have said.
Time.
Sir, you're making a mockery of this committee. Sir, you don't tell me my time is over. The people of New Jersey tell me what my time is. You can't lecture me.
You can tell me my time's over.
You may be the charge of the
I'm
FBI,
not going anywhere.
but I am not afraid of you.
Mr. Chairman.
I'm not afraid of you.
Mr. Chairman, point of order.
Senator Booker, I announced at the beginning of this meeting that this back and forth talking over each other doesn't work. And I said if that happened, I asked Patel not to respond, and I was going to give him some time after the senator's time was up to respond. And he has the privilege to do that uninterrupted.
Mr.
So
Chairman, one point of
go
order.
ahead, Mr.
I've
Patel.
watched him talk over us, and you've never once criticized him for us not even being able to get our questions out.
Well,
He has been rude and disrespectful to senator after senator.
And when the senators were not giving him a chance to answer, I didn't stop the senator either. Go ahead, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If the FBI, under my 7-month leadership, were failing this administration in this country, why do we have 23,000 violent felons arrested this year alone? A double increase from that time last year. Why is it that we have seized 6,000 weapons? Why have we found 1,500 child predators and arrested them? Why have we 300 human traffickers in jail? Why have we found and identified 4,700 children? Why have we seized 1,600 kilograms of fentanyl, enough to kill a third of the American public, a 25% increase alone from last year? 88,000 kilograms of cocaine seized, 7,000 kilograms of meth seized, and that's just on our criminal operations in summer heat. How is it possible that we're taking 8 kilograms off the streets of the cities in New Jersey and preventing the deaths of 607,000 people this year alone, a failure of the FBI and my leadership? How is it that we have counterintelligence arrests already this year exceeding the numbers from the entirety of last year? 33% increase in PRC, 83% in Russia, 60% in the CI space as it relates to Iran, and we haven't even talked about CT, the southern border, the northern border.
And so, as the hearing chamber empties and the echoes of raised voices fade into silence, what remains is something deeper, a reckoning about who we are as a nation and what kind of justice system we are willing to accept. What unfolded between Senator Cory Booker and nominee Kash Patel was not simply a clash of personalities. It was a collision between two visions of American power, one rooted in loyalty and hierarchy, the other grounded in accountability and truth. Booker, his voice heavy with outrage and disbelief, laid out the picture of a bureau gutted from within, agents reassigned, veterans dismissed, task forces dissolved, and an agency once known for independence pulled closer into political orbit. His indictment was not just against Patel, but against a culture of fear, a warning that when law enforcement bends toward political loyalty, it drifts away from the Constitution itself. Patel, for his part, came armed with numbers and defiance. Tens of thousands of arrests, hundreds of traffickers caught, thousands of lives saved, and drugs seized in record volumes. To him, these were the metrics of success. But statistics cannot measure faith. They cannot quantify trust. And in the eyes of many watching, the trust that once defined the FBI has become fractured, replaced by doubt, suspicion, and fatigue. The exchange was raw, even painful. At one point, the senator invoked the spirit of the agents he'd known in Newark, men and women who served their country with quiet heroism, and accused Patel of tarnishing their legacy. Patel countered with pride, citing those very agents as proof of his leadership's strength. The hearing spiraled into chaos, raised voices, procedural confusion, accusations of disrespect, the gavel pounding over a chorus of anger. But amid that chaos was democracy, messy, unrestrained, unpolished, but still alive. Because only in a democracy do such battles unfold in public, where the people can see power questioned in the open. Yet the stakes of this argument reach far beyond Capitol Hill. They touch every corner of American life. They reach into the quiet offices of FBI field agents across the country, into homes where parents pray their children will be protected from online predators, into communities fighting crime and addiction, into the hearts of Americans who want to believe that justice still operates without fear or favor. Senator Booker's warning was stark, that America is becoming weaker, not stronger, that institutional knowledge is being purged, experience discarded, and priorities distorted. He warned that when political loyalty becomes a qualification for public service, truth itself becomes negotiable, and that, he said, makes the country more vulnerable, not just to crime or terrorism, but to corruption, to division, to decay. Patel's defense was equally fierce. He spoke of record arrests, of weapons seized, of children saved from traffickers, of borders defended. To him, this was proof that his bureau was functioning, thriving even, under extraordinary pressure. But in that defense lay the deeper question. Can a system be effective if it is not trusted? Can a nation be safe if its people no longer believe in those who enforce its laws? In the end, both men embodied the same paradox that defines this moment in American history. A country that demands justice but doubts its institutions. A government that calls for transparency but hides behind procedure. A people who crave unity but reward outrage. And so the hearing leaves behind more than testimony. It leaves a challenge to lawmakers to rise above party and legislate guardrails that protect law enforcement from political capture. A challenge to the Department of Justice to rebuild trust through transparency and fairness. A challenge to leaders on all sides to remember that their oaths are not to any one man, but to the Constitution itself. Because when the FBI, the DOJ, or any institution of justice becomes a weapon rather than a safeguard, the cost is not measured in headlines or hearings. It is measured in the slow erosion of faith, the kind of faith that keeps a democracy standing when everything else feels divided. History will remember these hearings, not just for their fury, but for what they revealed. A nation at a crossroads. One path leads to accountability, integrity, and reform, a recommitment to the ideals that built the republic. The other leads to cynicism, retaliation, and the dangerous belief that justice belongs to those in power. Tonight, as the lights dim in the committee room and the American public turns off their screens, that choice still hangs in the air. Will we demand a system where truth stands above politics, where no one, not even the powerful, is above the law? Or will we allow justice to become just another weapon in the endless war of partisanship? The answer, as always, lies not in the hands of any one senator or nominee, but in the conscience of a nation. Because the law, like democracy itself, does not defend us. We defend it. And if we still believe in the words carved into the Supreme Court's marble facade, equal justice under law, then the real test begins not in hearings, but in how we act once they're over.